Well, hi, my name is Gary C. Hoff, and I'm the head of design, resident scenic designer for the Nashville Repertory Theater. And coming this May, I will be here 22 years. So yeah, quite a while. So yeah, that's who I am.
So, can you give us a little overview of your process, your duties, what you do as a scene designer?
As scenic designer, I'm really responsible for all of the look of the production scenically. So I decide every aspect of the show, how it's laid out, how it works, what colors there are, what furniture we use. I work really closely with the properties designer to make sure everything is a cohesive whole. And of course, I work really closely with the director who has their personal view of how they want the show to run, what their view is of the show. And so I try to incorporate that. And then, of course, I have to work with all the rest of the designers as well to make sure we're creating a cohesive whole production, because that's really what it's all about. This isn't a type of artistic industry you're going to go into where you can be working alone. You have to work with others, and the others affect what you do and how you do it. And that's all the beginning. That's all you start doing research. So yeah, it's such a cohesive, collaborative process, and it takes time. We have a lot of meetings. We meet together. The ideas change and evolve as we go along. But once we have that idea really firmly set, then I start doing, well, I'll probably do some little renderings, some sketches, because it's important for me to be able to convey what I'm thinking of in a visual form that I can show the director, that I can show other of the designers. Because really, sometimes just saying it doesn't really convey it.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a drawing aspect, or a models, or you could do sketches, you could do collages. There's a bunch of ways to be able to show your thoughts. But that's really important because you really need to be able to convey your thoughts to the rest of the team. But once that's all done, I start drafting the show. And I draft every aspect of the show. I do a floor plan, which is looking straight down on the show, so we see how it lays out in the theater. Sometimes I'll do an elevation or a sectional, which is cutting the set right down the middle and showing how it works height-wise. And then I'll do flooring schedules and platform schedules, and then details of every single piece in the show. And once that happens, I give it to whoever's going to build the show, the technical director, and they take it in the shop.
So you touched on this a little bit, but let's talk a little bit specifically about what kind of skills a person who is interested in scene design would need to possess or work on.
It's really good to know as much about theater as you can. Be proactive about going to theater, watching theater, and don't be afraid to call companies and say, can I have a tour? Go in and say, and not only, because a lot of them do tours, but they'll do a tour of, the dressing rooms. Well, that might not be what you want, but if you ask, they might be able to give you a tour of the prop shop or the scene shop. So there are ways to get more information, but sometimes you just need to ask. You should be able to look at all kinds of artistic, it's like, I'm a drawer and that's all I do. Well, then you need to hone your skills in other areas as well. I mean, being a drawer is awesome, but like I said, maybe you need to look at pottery or sculpture or metalwork, or just a whole gamut of artistic venues that are good to know. Even if it's just for reference, it's good to know. Work on your communication skills. Like I said, this is a collaborative effort, and you need to be able to convey your ideas succinctly and well, and in a way that the people understand that you know what you're talking about. Work on organization. Your organization is a huge part of what we do, because everything we do is under a time crunch. You have a specific amount of time to do everything, and you need to be organized. And work on paying attention. This is a big one that I always tell students is, you've really got to pay attention to what's going on around you. You can't stay in your own little bubble. You have to pay attention to what's going on in the world around you. So pay attention, and start remembering things, because that's really important.
What are some of the rewards that you found in doing scene design?
Well, it's really working together. It's creating a whole artistic vision with a whole lot of people, which is, is not that easy. It's, it's, you've got a whole bunch of personalities and thoughts and ideas. And when it comes together, that is so rewarding. Like, oh my gosh, it worked. That was great. You get to create like a whole world. I mean, it's like, where do you get to decide? I decide what the china looks like. I decide, what the bedding looks like. I mean, you get so much free reign on creating a world. And I just find that really exciting.
What kind of education do you recommend for someone who's wanting to go into scene design?
I think I think an undergrad degree is kind of essential. What I recommend to students is look for a school that doesn't have a graduate program, because you will get a lot less experience and a lot less hands-on in a program that has a graduate program, because they're going to give all of the really good meaty jobs to the grad students. That's what they're there for. So look for an undergrad program, and don't be immediately tied into one area. You may think, oh, I want to be a designer, but try everything. You may find that maybe costumes is really the way you want to go, or maybe you want to be a stage manager, or maybe you want to be a lighting designer, but you're not going to know until you find out. And I also think it's real important, especially in undergrad, to try everything. I think my personal opinion is a technician should have some knowledge of every single area of theater.
What kind of student would you encourage into this field? What kind of characteristics do you think people should have, or people should hone to sort of work toward this kind of career?
Well, it's kind of cliche, but you kind of have to really want to do it. It's not the easiest world to live in. You certainly are going to make a huge amount of money unless you get to the very top echelon of designers. So it needs to be something that really speaks to you and feels like something you really need to do.
And where can we tell students to find out more about scene design? Where would you send them for more information?
Well, I mean, obviously nowadays online. I mean, you can find out so much information. You can go look at all kinds of design work, which I think is really important. You kind of have to know the history behind what you do and ways to solve problems. So I think it's real important to do as much research and looking into set design as possible. So I think that's really important. As I said before, go to theaters, go to places and ask if you can have a tour. Ask if you can come and watch for a day. A lot of theaters will, have job shadowing and that kind of thing. And you can contact me. I mean, if you want to ask me a question, I'm more than happy to answer that. And that would be Gary@NashvilleRep.org. But you kind of need to be proactive in finding that information, but it's out there. So, let us know.
Great. Thank you so much, Gary. This has been really
absolutely
helpful.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, and I hope it helps some people out. That's great.